The end of the First World War finally brought peace to a war-weary Europe, but it also marked the decline of large military contracts. This shift posed significant challenges for companies heavily involved in the production of military equipment, vehicles, and aircraft, as they struggled to secure new orders. One such company was the British firm Boulton Paul Aircraft Manufacturer. During the 1920s, Boulton Paul operated under difficult conditions, barely surviving by producing prototypes or, if lucky, securing small production orders for various aircraft types. However, the company's fortunes began to improve with the development of the P.29 Sidestrand bomber. While fast, this bomber suffered from a significant flaw. Its nose design restricted the forward gunner's field of fire. In response, Boulton Paul's engineers devised an innovative solution: a fully enclosed, forward-mounted rotating turret. This feature was incorporated into their next design, the Boulton Paul P.75 Overstrand bomber. Although produced in small numbers, Overstrand's turret system laid the foundation for future advancements in turret-equipped aircraft, a concept that would later be widely adopted by the Royal Air Force. The P-29, introduced in the mid-1920s, was a modern twin-engine, all-metal bomber for its time. It featured a well-shaped nose that provided excellent aerodynamic properties. Combined with its powerful engines, the bomber could reach speeds of up to 225 km per hour. While this speed allowed it to outrun many fighters of the era, the forward nose gunner position proved to be both overly exposed and ineffective. Strong winds made aiming the machine gun difficult, often causing the weapon to be blown off target. There were even reports of propeller blades being struck by drum magazines accidentally thrown from the gunner's position. Additionally, the extreme cold made operating the gun unbearable. On December 28, 1932, the Air Ministry issued an order requesting design modifications to resolve these issues with the P-29. While this might have seemed like a simple fix, it actually required extensive modifications. After analyzing the problem in detail, engineers at Boulton Paul decided to incorporate a fully enclosed, forward-mounted turret into a new aircraft design. This new design would integrate many components from existing models, effectively blending proven technology with modern advancements. The goal was to accelerate development time while keeping costs low. The new turret design, which operated using compressed air, was considered during the construction of the P-70 experimental aircraft. Although the aircraft itself was never fully completed, the turret underwent extensive testing. The machine gun turret was designed to have 360-degree rotation, provided the gun was elevated at least 70 degrees to clear the nose. Other features tested on the P-70 included a windshield for the rear gunner and a fully enclosed cockpit for the pilot. These new features were also tested on a modified P-29, completed around August 1933. During its maiden flight, the modified plane caught fire. After landing, an investigation revealed that the new heating system was to blame. Despite this setback, flight tests continued. Building on the lessons learned from the modified P-29 and P-70 projects, engineers at Boulton Paul set out to combine the most promising experimental features of both into a single design, the P-75. By repurposing existing components, they were able to accelerate the development process, and the first prototype was completed in relatively short order. The P-75 made its public debut in late 1933 as part of the Parade and Fly Past of Experimental Types at Hendon Air Display. On February 22, 1934, it was flown to No. 101 Squadron at Andover for evaluation. The aircraft received praise for its improved heating system, crew comfort, speed, and maneuverability. However, several issues were noted. Longitudinal control was sluggish, the engines generated excessive vibrations, and the enclosed turret was criticized by gunners as being cramped, though this was largely due to their prior experience with open top positions, rather than any sort of inherent flaw in the design. The prototype was once again sent back to the factory for modifications to address the issues. Alongside it, 3 additional prototypes were converted for further testing. The turret was enlarged, which meant the entire plane had to be wider. Various structural changes were also made to reduce engine vibrations, though this problem was never fully resolved. By this stage of development, the aircraft was officially designated the P.75 Overstrand, named after a town near Sidestrand. While work on the Overstrand progressed in 1934, Boulton Paul faced several severe financial challenges that threatened to completely shut down the company. Despite these challenges, development continued. That year, the RAF deemed the project viable and placed an order for 19 production aircraft to replace the aging P-29. The P-75 Overstrand was a twin-engine, all-metal biplane bomber. Its wings were 3-bay, biplane structures featuring an additional outer edge sweep to compensate for the increased nose weight by the powered turret. Mounted between the wings were two 580 horsepower Pegasus 2M3 engines, each driving a 4-bladed metal propeller. The first Overstrand, which was converted from a Sidestrand, was initially equipped with less powerful 555 horsepower Pegasus 1M3 engines. The main landing gear was attached to the engine nacelles on either side of the fuselage and reinforced with supporting struts. The cockpit, positioned ahead of the wing roots, was fully enclosed and featured a sliding hood for entry. Behind the cockpit, two gunner positions were located near the aircraft's midsection, one dorsal and one ventral. The ventral gunner also operated the radio. The most innovative technical feature of the P.75 was its powered nose turret. Designed by H.A. Hughes, head of the armament section at Boulton Paul, the turret was cylindrical with a rounded top and bottom section. Most of its surface was covered in perspex, providing the gunner with an optimal field of view, while the remaining structure was made of metal. The turret was powered pneumatically, using compressed air stored in bottles. These bottles were rechargeable through the compressor and, when fully charged, allowed up to 20 complete rotations before depletion. In terms of movement, the turret could rotate 240 degrees with the gun pointing forward and achieve a full 360-degree rotation if the gun was elevated up to 70 degrees. It was mounted on ball bearings and secured to the airframe using brackets connected to both the upper and lower longerons. The upper longerons, in particular, featured a circular design that incorporated rollers to facilitate smooth rotation. Given their prior experience operating the P-75 prototype, No. 101 Squadron was equipped with this aircraft starting in January 1935. Over the next few months, it was used extensively for various flight and bombing training exercises. On July 6th, this squadron flew to Mildenhall to participate in the King's Jubilee Air Review. During the event, King George VI personally inspected a P-75 and showed particular interest in its powered turret. The P-75's design and various accommodations made it highly favored by the crews who flew it. Beyond its comfort, it also proved to be a high-performing aircraft. At the beginning of its service, bombing accuracy significantly improved from just 15% to an impressive 85% due to the well-integrated turret design, which incorporated bomb-aiming equipment. In addition to this success, No. 101 Squadron won the Sassoon Trophy in 1935 for photo reconnaissance, achieving a remarkable 89.5% accuracy. Gunner accuracy also improved considerably, further demonstrating the effectiveness of the turret system. Starting in September, newly produced aircraft began entering service. The first accident occurred on September 9th when one of the P-75s crashed at the North Coats Range. Despite this setback, production continued, and newly built Overstrands entered service through January 1936. Before the end of the year, an order for 5 additional aircraft was placed to serve as replacements in case of losses, bringing the total production to 28 units. At least one P-75 was sent to Air Armament School at East Church, where it was used to train recruits on the aircraft and its turret system. The year 1936 was largely uneventful, though, aside from 3 separate accidents. In January 1937, the RAF began expanding its forces and forming new squadrons. No. 144 Squadron was established to support No. 101, and temporarily received 4 P-75s until new aircraft became available. These bombers served for only a month before being replaced by Bristol Blenheims, after which the P-75s were returned. Also in January, a P-75 crashed while flying through a thick fog from Mildenhall to Bicester, resulting in the aircraft's destruction and the loss of its crew. Another crash occurred in June. In 1935, Boulton Paul acquired the rights to build the Debuisson electric turret from the Société d'Application des Machines Motrices, or SAM, in France. Debuisson, an engineer at SAM, had designed a 4-gun electrically powered turret for use on aircraft. However, the French government showed no interest in pursuing it. Meanwhile, Debuisson became aware of Boulton Paul's work on turrets, particularly on the Overstrand bomber. Recognizing an opportunity, SAM approached Boulton Paul with their turret design. John North, the company's lead aircraft designer, found it to be superior and decided to purchase the patent rights. In 1937, one of Boulton Paul's reserve aircraft was experimentally fitted with a Debuisson turret. This modification significantly increased firepower, replacing its single Lewis gun with 4 Darna guns mounted in the nose. Despite this firepower boost, only one prototype was tested. Instead of further development on the Overstrand, it was decided that the Debuisson turret would serve as the basis for the turret used in the emerging P-82 turret fighter, which would soon be named the Defiant. Additionally, another P-75 aircraft was modified to accommodate a 20mm Hispano cannon. This required drastic changes to the nose, integrating the turret directly into the fuselage. The cannon was mounted on a rotating platform, and much of the nose glazing was removed, leaving only what was necessary for bomb aiming. By 1938, the P-75 was beginning to show its age. Modern bombers such as the Bristol Blenheim and the larger Vickers Wellington had already entered or were about to enter production. On August 27th, No. 101 Squadron began phasing out its P-75s in favor of the Blenheim. By the following summer, the P-75 would be completely withdrawn from frontline service. Despite its retirement from active duty, the aircraft continued to serve in various training schools and auxiliary roles. However, in July, a fatal incident sealed the fate of most remaining Overstrands. One P-75 broke apart midair, killing the entire crew. In response, all airworthy P-75s were restricted to ground-based training as instructional airframes. Nevertheless, a handful of P-75s remain in operation for unconventional missions. One was assigned to the Special Duty Flight at Christchurch before being transferred to the Army Cooperation Development Unit. Eventually, it was operated by the Balloon Development Unit at Cardington, where it was used to generate slipstreams for barrage balloons and test the fatigue resistance of their cables. All remaining P-75s were eventually scrapped. While no surviving aircraft remain to this day, a reproduction of the nose section was built and currently resides in the Norfolk and Suffolk Aviation Museum, in the Boulton Paul hangar. This concludes our look at the British Boulton Paul P-75 bomber. What are your thoughts on its innovative turret design? Would you like to see more British aircraft featured in the future? Let us know in the comments. If you like what we do and want to see more, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single video. Also, don't forget to take a look at our extensive collection of articles on our website, plane-encyclopedia.com. Thank you, and see you next time.